What's happening?
What's up?
Oh man, so glad to have you on. We're back StreamYard, so we're back streaming into the Honey Badger Nation Facebook group. We're also live in the rock stars of the fast forward movement, and then of course on YouTube. So welcome everybody.
Good deal.
Brother, I appreciate you jumping in, man. You know, I use you guys, in particular. I know, Durb, your partner in crime, but you're really from the sales side of things, been leading the charge consistently, for over a year now. And the delayed gratification that has come with that has positioned you guys to have best year ever, best month ever, continuing to grow, becoming more attractive, bringing, that not only agents coming to you, also, the business coming to you. And it was more of a singular focus around, the effort and the things within our control.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I would love for you to, kind of jump in. I know topic wise, we're going to talk about, being intentional, and which by the way, listening to, familiar with Ed Milet's concept of changing the thermostat, and the thermostat always kind of regulates. And I think a lot of agents, and just before we went live, we talked about this, that a lot of agents' thermostat has been regulated for the last 3-4 years. And for them to get where they want to go, they got to change that thermostat. And being intentional is one of the 3 ways that Ed talks about to being able to successfully change the thermostat. And I believe, wholeheartedly, you made the decision to change the thermostat over a year ago, and it's definitely paying off. So, I'm gonna let you kind of frame that for these rock stars in the Honey Badger Nation to kind of kind of set the stage of what I really want to unpack from you, because I don't know many people that I've had the opportunity to work with and coach that went all in and made this decision as long ago as you guys did, and are reaping the rewards of it.
Awesome. I appreciate it, John. Yeah, it was, it's funny. You're right. It was December, a year ago, which is right when me and Matt partnered with Place. We were kind of at a crossroads. Do we make the team much bigger in scale, or do we kind of just shrink the team, go back to, us just kind of being snipers selling a smaller team, right? So, once we made that decision, I will say with the Place culture, which we've coached on for years now, it's very heavy on the prospecting and very heavy on it. And I know that word gets used a lot, real estate conversations, right?
Yeah.
There's so many ways to reach people, but at the end of the day, we have to talk to these individuals in order to be successful. So we just made a big commitment with the team that we were going to work harder than ever to skill them up. So it started with, I would say the biggest kind of game changer, which is so small, but if someone's not doing it, I highly recommend our power up. We have a power up every morning, 8:30 to 9. It's typically, first couple minutes of a couple wins, get right into a topic, so whatever that topic may be, like intentionality, winning the day, your calendar, just kind of good nuggets that we've kind of embraced. And then usually some role play and a little bit of kind of script practice. But, you figure, again, everything like think of the compound effect, right? So 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day, do that over the course of a year. It's a lot of hours, right? And it's a lot more time that for a lot of people just completely ignore. And quite frankly, what time are most agents starting their day? 10, 11,
Maybe.
right? So
Yeah.
then, when you wake up with that intention, of course it starts even before that, but when your call's at 8:30 and you're rallied around, again, I know Coach Burt used to the pray drive, right? It's more or less that. It's igniting that kind of fire. And then 9 to 11, everyone's jumping on the phone and making the dials, right? We all have big databases. Ours isn't, I would say, overly big. I'm sure many teams have much bigger databases. We're operating right around 15, 16,000, but there is just a tremendous amount of opportunity, in there. And also the mind shift of not thinking of people as buyers or sellers. All right. I'm just having real estate conversations with human beings, and most of them are both.
Yeah.
Right. So not kind of putting people in these buckets also. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, getting down to defining that, and I've really, we look from a visioning standpoint, and I remember going through the conversations, last year, and it was like, okay, well, I mean, what do we want this to be, right? What is it? I mean, are we clear? Do we still know the destination? Like, where are we trying to go? Like, what is freedom for us? What beach, what island, where is it? Where are we trying to go? And not losing sight of that. And then, asking ourselves, okay, well, what are all the ways? And we teetered back and forth, talking about, we knew we were missing a key component, a key integrator, a key operational side. And it was like, okay, we pull the trigger, we make that hire. We know where we're at, what we need to do. We're going to have to, from a market-based wage for what we're trying to accomplish. We know it's a 6-figure commitment per year. And then the place opportunity was there. And so once we look at that and we look at, okay, hey, let's zoom out 3 years. And, here we are, getting ready to go into 23. So we got to think, all of 23, all of 24, all of 25. Okay, cool. December 31st, 2025. What does this look like? And, you had already consciously made the decision to, I guess, stay committed to the fundamentals, stay committed to the basics. And that was showing up every day, utilizing your superpower, which was getting on the phone, being proactive, engaging with people, and really just conversations. And I think, kind of what you're talking about is, before I believe you can, have that, winning the type of day and being intentional, we got to go out and then draw that line back to where we want to be. And I think the decision with place was a relief for both of you, you and Durb, to kind of, okay, we have the back of the house kind of, we have a game plan for the back of the house. Now we can focus on the front, right? Front stage, like, let's go.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it, right? Because you said it perfect. With that partnership, we gained, when you mentioned what was the other choice, for sure, 1 hire, maybe even 2, maybe even 3, right? So all of that became solved. In addition, all the other back of the house items were amplified, from accounting to marketing to systems to software, like just everything else kind of exponentially increased as well. So just like you said, it allowed us to focus then on, again, what are the primary levers right now? Production, right? And agent growth. Those are the 2 keys to everything right now. Like, as we head into, let's call it what it is, more challenging times, right? The reason we're still on a growth trajectory this year, and like you said, had our best month ever in August this year, and looking for even bigger things next year, it's that focus on our training. I would say is finally at a 10, like our ability to really skill all these agents up, which naturally is going to increase productivity. Sure. But also because of that, and now the belief with everybody and seeing the results, the attraction part is becoming much easier because everybody's talking about it. So now it's, with all the agents that are struggling out there, I know that if they're on our team and we're together, we're going to win. There's not even a question, right? And people want to be on the winning team. And especially when you're going into uncertain times, everybody wants to be led. and they want to have leaders that are confident. And Matt and I have always been, but now again with this partnership with Ben, Chris, and other leaders in place. In addition, we just have that much more confidence going into this, next piece. And when you mentioned around, intentionality, I was thinking, we talked about this a little bit before the call, but look at the last 3-4 years, right? Everything was kind of thrown at us, right? I mean, every listing has 20 offers. We're going over asking. Like when you look at our days were more reactive than proactive because there was just a lot of activity, a lot of things in motion, and we were just kind of reactive to it, right? And now, if you're not very intentional about what you're doing, first, yeah, it starts with that first. What are you doing in your day, and where's it moving the needle? It's easy to stay in that old habit, which then you put in an 8-10 hour day, but what did you do? And that's what we were seeing next is like a lot of agents were struggling with theirs. So it's like, all right, let's define that. Let's really hone in on what does a win look like for your day. Truly,
Right.
if you said tomorrow, I'm going to win tomorrow, what are the top 1, 2, 3 things you have to accomplish to know that you won that day? And if you don't have that, then you're just flying blind, quite frankly.
Yeah. So define, for you, what is a win? Like what needs to be in, okay, hey, this is acceptable in my win bucket. What has to be in there?
Yeah, so for me right now, it's pretty simple, right? So I'm on 75 hard. So number one, I got to complete all the tasks of that, right? 2 workouts a day, the reading, the dieting, the water, etc. And then that has really helped me. I'm actually best in all aspects of my life when I'm kind of in that rigid, boring mode, right? Because I'm more productive. So then from a business or personal aspect, personal win is minimum between, I got to get at least an appointment, ideally 2, right? So if I didn't do that day and the effort was there, which happens someday, I still didn't get that victory, but I know the effort was there, the attempt was there. And then tomorrow it's, hey, the goal doubles, right? To me, it's more of a week goal. It's like, I better be getting between 5 and 10 or I'm not hitting the mark, because that is the first piece that gets to the end, right? Number 2, trying to really limit distractions. I heard Ben mention on his calendar, he says he'll look at it again Sunday night and really see, like, of everything on my calendar, what can I eliminate? Because a lot of it, quite frankly, we can, right?
Right.
And being really, I know for you, like, this is one part for years you've mentioned, and I think it's one of the best things you coach is like the Sunday planning. Like, you have your calendar so dialed in where I guarantee you don't veer off much at all, if ever. And that type of intentionality, and mainly, John, why it's so important, not only do you feel good, you can measure that. I just said before about the compound effect of the power ups. If you're making X amount of calls and doing X amount of activities, and it's measurable, look how much easier it is to see the results than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. And like you said, things that are happening to us now, this was from effort a while back too. I mean, it's everything we're doing now is 2024. For most part, and we're already about October 11th. All this activity is 2024.
Right.
And this is where a lot of agents kind of pack it in and say, hey, I'm just going to kind of relax. We'll worry about it then. But that's not the right mindset in this market.
A couple things that I've really been thinking about, just even here recently, and coming out of KT, right, was the last year it was like, just finish strong. And I think I've more adopted to, okay, maybe December 31st is the finish line, but that's not the end of the race. And so we're going to run through. I don't believe sprint through the finish line. I'm really more, DJ, more around, let's find a pace that we want to establish for 24, and let's find that pace now and run through the finish line, and that will set the pace for 24. Because I believe that if you pull off anything right now, you're going to lose momentum. And just a couple different conversations I've had, one with Leanne, one with Al, about like, even when Al went to EXP Con, he had 2 days where he just stayed in the hotel room making calls because he didn't want to lose the momentum that they had. And even the same thing, like with Leanne, 6 listings coming this week. And it's like, you when you work so hard to build to that point, and I think real estate agents are notorious for this, is that they pedal so fast. And this is that roller coaster, right? The real estate roller coaster. They pedal so hard to get the pipeline, and then they think they can take their foot off the gas and coast, and then the pipeline's dry on them again. To me, the key word this quarter and into 24 is consistency. And you guys have lived it. And I know you had mentioned 75 hard. What else are you doing? You mentioned Coach's Pray Drive, the Miracle Morning, the Power of Full Engagement, the Core 4, whatever you can latch onto that you need to sharpen yourself daily. How important has that been for you, and how important is it for anybody moving into, where we're at and really want to establish not even I think if you're thinking to survive, you're gonna get, you're gone. And I forget, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I talked to Towner and Brandon and Greg this morning, and I was like, here's the thing, guys. I don't believe you have to be hungry. I believe you got to be starving to survive the next 6 months. If you're not waking up starving, you're not going to make it. And I'm not Debbie Downer. You know me. That's the last thing that I am. I'm the internal optimist. Like, there is always a way. I just believe, though, if you wake up and you're just hungry, you ain't going to make it. I believe you got to wake up starving, and you got to be willing to put in the work. And this is what you're talking about. But for you, how important is it, not only for yourself, but everybody else that you're coaching and leading, to sharpen yourself daily?
I think it's actually without question, the most important. And again, something we don't put much thought or emphasis on, and just kind of assume it's going to be okay. Right. So I say this where there, to me, there's 2 things, right? And this is the other part of half of the power up. Skilling somebody up or getting skilled is one thing, right? But you have to have the right mindset. And it is a very scary trap if you're listening to a bunch of BS, and then you're saying the words that now you're articulating the same BS, and then you believe that. That's where you're dead. You are dead at the beginning, right? I remember, like, playing football. My coach would always say before we left the locker room, he's like, if any of you think we're going to lose tonight, we've already lost. Yeah. And right. And anybody in that locker room that was talking negatively, they were looked at like a cancer. Right. And you got to remove that. You need to believe it. And I think right now, a lot of people are afraid. So this is the biggest time where leaders stepping up to lead their teams and as individuals, to know there's a path and know we're going to be fine. But you just said it too. Like, you got to really want it and want it more than ever. And you got to do the work. And none of this is rocket science or, a shiny object or anything like that. It's just being super focused. But yeah, I mean, that's where, for me, I've definitely been caught up in my lifetime of letting a bunch of bullshit change my outlook, or that affect my peace. Right. So that's a big thing for me right now too. Anything and everything that even remotely is taking my peace away from me, it's out of my life, whatever it is. And this, I'm 43 years old. I think this comes from, for some of us, age and maturity. It doesn't matter what it is. Friend, family, coworker, situation, client, I'm done. I made a resolution. Like, if it doesn't bring me peace and keep me on my path, it is out of my life, period. And you got to be okay with losing that too, right? Because the path you're on is so much bigger, and and that destiny is so much more important, right? So yeah, I think you're right. It starts first thing in the morning when you open your eyes. And for me, a simple thing, and I know it's a cliche thing, but anytime I'm a little bit down, I go to gratitude. Every single time I tell myself what I'm grateful for, I'm spun back into a better mindset, and then doing something in the morning, whether even a walk, just something to get blood flowing and moving. Because you said it, it's momentum and flow, right? Once everybody's in that momentum and flow, each day gets a little easier. But if you're out of that momentum and flow and it's just, it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, whatever, weekend's coming, it's going to be, yeah, I mean, you're either going to not survive or you're going to barely survive, in my opinion. I think it's going to get harder before it gets easier for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's separation time. That's why, it's the best opportunity that I've seen in real estate since 07, 08, 09 timeframe. It's separation time. And, if you're an agent listening into this and you don't have a growth mindset, if you catch yourself falling into a fixed mindset, you're fucked. And I told Brandon and Greg again this morning that I believe, because they're looking at building a team, and so this is beneficial to you as well, you and Durb. I believe brand new real estate agents are at an advantage coming into this market right now than agents that got licensed since 2000 during the unicorn years. Because it's just like what you said, is that the market forced them to be very reactive. Coming into this market now, you don't know any better.
Right.
And you're going to be at an advantage. Now, does that mean that you can't adjust, that you can't change? Absolutely you can. But you got to be willing to put in the work to level up and change the thermostat. And if you're not willing to do that work, this is why I want to spend some time kind of like what we have been unpacking 75 hard, whatever those routines, rituals to sharpen your mind and sharpen your body, and being able to do those things. Because if you don't come from that frame, that being able to know that change is possible, that you can change your identity just like that, then yeah, good luck. That's why I think building, if you're focused and committed on building a team, I think you're going to have an easier chance of growing fast with new agents. And Brandon and Greg, they were laughing. They're like, we talked about that yesterday. And I was like, yes. I said, it's right. You can challenge me all day you want, because I know where most agents are at right now that have been in the business. If they don't have a great coach or they have a great mindset, they're going to get caught drifting, and they're in a fearful state. And so when they're in a fearful state, they can't think accurately. And accurate thought is how you overcome fear. And it's just so key right now. So DJ, so for you, unpacking what those wins are, and really looking at the day and being able to be real clear with that for for the agents, for newer agents, just for anybody in particular, it's like, guys, like, keep it simple, but focus on these things to win and build that momentum. So for you, and I want to jump into the technical side here in a second, but I want you to kind of, is there anything else that you want to make sure that they take home as it comes to arming themselves, the daily, their mindset before they step into the actual work?
I'd say, just to dummy it down a little bit, it's just, in my, again, opinion, and look how many of the greats are doing this. We know it works, right? Wake up, get some sort of a workout in. Don't race to check email. Don't race to get anything that's going to probably be negative in your mind. Have some time for some clear thought, meditation, prayer, whatever it may be, right? And then from there, it's our power up, which I call like our pregame.
Run through that agenda. This is important, because even if they're not a part of, I think here's my belief. Even if you're a solo agent by yourself, you can go through the same agenda.
100%. Think about, here's a good analogy to help everybody. Every professional athlete, right? They have a pregame and they have their game, they have a post game. They're not showing up to the locker room 5 minutes before tip off. Like if you're Michael Jordan, like he was in there a couple hours before, right? He's getting his rhythm down. He'd eat a steak dinner. He'd have a certain way, tied his shoes. Then he's doing his warm up, whatever he would do, like his 100 foul shots. Like that's his pregame, right? So for us as agents, think about your morning in the power up. That's your pregame. Then the game is you having real estate conversations, which would be new people. And keep that in mind. This is important. New people you haven't talked to, not follow-ups, not sphere. That's new. Then I also feel it's very important right now, or just as important equally, you got to have time to follow up. Not everyone's doing something on the first phone call. So the follow-ups on listings, follow-up on buyers, that needs to be a calendared item, right? Then put your buffer for the BS parts of the day that come up you got to catch up on. And lastly, appointments. You got to have that big block. I know when you, Jay, and Mike were rocking and rolling, I think what was he doing his height? Like 4 or 5 a day, I think were blocked off on the calendar, right? So like having that blocked off, that's appointment time. I believe in all my heart, if you can, nothing's perfect. If you can stick to that 85 to 90% of the time, you're going to do unbelievable. I mean, you will crush it, right? But look how easy it is to come in the office, play on social media a little bit, way too long, right? Just on this search loop, print some stuff, make a fun flyer, blah, blah. Oh, it's 3, I'm going to go show a house. Oh, it's 5, time for dinner. Okay, the day's over.
Yeah.
Right? So in a nutshell, to kind of the dummy version, that's what I would be advising.
You know, it's funny you say that, Deej. It's that mentality of, you know, if you employed you, would you fire you or would you keep you on board? And I think if you take that mentality with yourself, and this is what, you know, Caitlin going through, and I'm like, you have to keep an employee mindset when you come into real estate. You know, people get in because they think they have to have a flexible schedule. I mean, it don't work. Like you got to be all in. You can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You got to be all in. And if you embrace an employee type mindset to where I show up at this time, I can check out, you know, I'm done at this time. I have certain key metrics and deliverables that I have to hit on every day that, you know, in my mind. So that comes back down to the agreement. And that's what I told her. I said, I want to see Stace and Reedy's agreement with you. I want to see the measurables. I want to see how they're going to measure your success. And I want to make sure you know it. And I think if you take that type of mentality and the type of mindset, you can be successful, no matter what you do. And a couple things, being busy, right? You talked about what you just shared right there was an example of being busy, but being productive, which is what we're talking about, being intentional. And my definition of that is just getting the result. If you're getting results, you're being productive. If you're not getting results, you're not being productive. And I remember Glenn sharing this as a year ago, sharing this at EXP, the last EXP sprint that they did in Denver. And he said, you know, the definition of leadership has many definitions, and you can even define it yourself, which is what I love. Joel shared at KT was so powerful how he defined leadership in his requirements. Mm-hmm. But Glenn said, your job as a leader is to make sure the people you're leading are getting results, period. If they're not getting results, you're not doing your job as a leader. And I was like, that's amazing, because that's all we want. We want results. That's all business is delivering a result to the ideal client. And like for you guys, I mean, you work with sellers, you work with a few buyers, but you work with real estate agents. Mm-hmm. And your job as a leader is to get sellers results, or you know, nobody's going to hire you. They're not going to refer you. Same thing with buyers, but the big thing is with real estate agents. Are you helping them get the results, which means, are you getting them to the closing table? Are you helping them get to the closing table? Before we get into it, guys, I want to talk about scripts, and I'm going to tell you a conversation I had yesterday. But in your mind right now, what is the absolute work required to thrive in the market?
Minimum 2 hours every day 5 days a week calling new folks, whether that's for sale by owner, expired calls, circle prospecting, database, pond leads. I mean, really just anything, just brand new. And I would say a minimum of 1 hour of follow-up. And I know a lot of people, when they hear that, I'd say probably less than, if I was going to guess, 20% probably will ever pick up the phone. And I would say 90% of the 80% that don't, it's fear. So a big thing that I know has helped our team is ask yourself why you're afraid. And you said it perfect, right? What do most people do when they're afraid? You retreat and you freeze. So we know what we need to do is run through the fear, conquer the fear, right? The quickest way for me that I've overcome fear, especially of this type in my life ever, I call with the intention of I'm helping. I know that if I call you and I believe in all my being that I'm just calling to help you, what am I afraid of? Like, I mean, what is the worst thing that's going to happen on this phone call? You're going to get really mad, tell me to F off, scream at me, yell at me. If I know that my intention is just to help, truly to help you get to a better place in your life, then that comes back to me won't bother me as much.
Right.
And until I thought that way, it would hurt more, and I would be, they must not like. No, it's not that they don't even know me. I'm a stranger.
Bad day. They could, they could have just gotten in an argument. We just don't know what people are going through. So I love that. Yeah, keep going. This is so important.
So when you know that our job is you're coming from that place of I'm there to help, it immediately I believe this. I've seen a lot of young agents try this in our office, and they're doing great with it. When you know you're just there to help, and even when they get shitty or crazy, it's like, hey, listen, I didn't call to upset you. There's a lot of people I'm helping today. I wanted you to be one of them, right? That diffuses a lot of people too. That even if they're having a bad day, hey, I'm sorry, I'm having a bad day. Call me tomorrow. Okay, no problem, right? But with that mentality, A, I'm calling to help people. B, I got to help my family, right? So if you had two things on a wall and you said every day you walked in, help poster 1, help poster 2, and just stared at that and just said, this is why I'm doing this, shit gets a lot easier. And then all the roadblocks that we put, right? And this is why I say about being really careful about who you listen to and what you listen to, because it becomes you. What I say, well, first of all, what I listen to and what I think is what I believe or start to believe. And then what I say or what I do, it could be all BS. We could say, like, if we say, we're in goal planning time, right? A lot of us are going to start planning for next year, right? Say it's 500 deals. Say make it 1,000. Gives a shit. Go bigger, right? Like you always say, what's your line? What's your line about the future?
Yeah, the thing is that if you're not happy with your present situation, it's because your future is not big enough. For our present to be better, our future has to be bigger. And the number one constraint with all humans is that we don't think big enough. And what happens, DJ, is when we think of a bigger future, we create an artificial constraint in our mind. And if we embrace it as human beings and understand, dude, you have this thing in your brain that is hardwired to solve problems. And when you ask questions, which is thinking, if you ask better questions and tougher questions, you create that artificial constraint and your brain can't stop but help to try to figure out a way to get there. And it's just it's so important. I love that you brought that up because it is. And I love your help. And even if you're new, DJ, is that, and this is why I tell everybody brand new, get on a team.
Oh, yeah.
Get on a team that challenges the way you think. Obviously, they align to your core values. They're there to challenge you, support you, create accountability, and you can borrow their success until you have your own, and knowing with conviction that you can help anybody in any situation.
That's right.
And I love that. It ain't a hit list. It's a help list. It's like, DJ, who do I get to help today? DJ, who are you helping make a decision about their real estate needs today?
You said it perfect.
Oh, that's so good, man. So good that you brought that up and you have that framework. And, for everybody listening in, that to me, that is the mentality that you want to run with, what DJ just shared. He's like, you just really want to pull from that and think, man, I don't have to make this sell. I get the opportunity to help people make decisions today.
That's it. Because once you have that, then once you're not afraid, you're also more open-minded to the skill part. Now you want to practice more. Like, here's things I saw. Agents who wouldn't make phone calls on the team are now, not only are they doing more role play, more calls, they're doing work at night. They're watching YouTube. They're watching different people, like a Tina or a Jackie or other people that are, have a lot of videos on there. And I get the feedback like, man, that was great. I'm feeling better. I'm like, now I know you want it more if you're doing after hours practice without being told, because you want to, right? And it's all overcoming that fear. That's what I see. So many people never get to their full potential because they're just scared shitless of something that's fake.
Yeah,
and then
it doesn't exist.
Your brain is, it's so powerful. That fake thing that's not even real, your brain's smart to be like, no, it's real, just don't. And like the other side's like, no, I don't think it is. Like, it's scary.
It's all made up. So there are only two fears as human beings that we're born with. Two. That's it. One is the fear of falling, and two is the fear of loud noise. That's it. We're born with two fears. Everything else is made up. Everything else. Everything is made up. It doesn't exist. So, fear is that thought of a made up future. And that's why you have to focus on what's within my control. That ain't fear. It ain't real. It's how do I lean into it? Right. So going, like, I'm deathly a fear of heights, of falling. Yeah. That still resonates with me. And we did the iFly last week. And it was one of those things, right? It was in my mind. And I'm like, Zane's going to do this. I'm damn sure going to jump in there and act like I'm not afraid. Right. And so you just lean into it. And next thing you know, you're floating, you're in the air, you're flying, And so it's just a great reminder that the things that our minds make up aren't even real. And it's like talking to another human being.
Yeah.
Now, having that mentality to go in and have a conversation. But I want to tell you about a story I had yesterday with a conversation I had yesterday. And because I know this is your wheelhouse, and I know I'm just going to wind you up and let you go. So I had, very dear friend of ours, mine, Blake Sloan. And so Blake, obviously, is one of the top real estate agents in Myrtle Beach. They did, the market in Myrtle Beach, like everybody else, is down there. So they're getting hit with a little bit, but they'll still be around 700 transactions this year. And he was talking about his team, and half of them are at one point, the other half are, they're struggling. And he brought up a couple things, and he said, one, where consumers are, and I think this is a little bit of an emotional intelligence piece, to where you got to get some empathy, and you got to have some social skills and try to understand the bullshit that people have been fed for the last 3 years, and where their mentality is. What are they being consumed, especially those that consume the news, right? Consume the machine out there, and being told, right? Call it what you want, right? The sheep. And he said, it's just interesting. But he had a conversation with Ryan Young, who is top agent in Cleveland, who has the software, has Fellow.
Mm-hmm.
And he was giving some statistics and some feedback on conversations that they're having with sellers, and how sellers are putting in information. And then when you call all the information, and then you call them, and then they're like, why are you calling me? Like, I didn't give you my information, right? It's all the things that we've heard. Conversation on, I'm going to do some repairs. And then you look up and the home's listed 6 days later on the market with another agent. And so what Ryan was talking about, and what Blake was talking about, and Blake's adamant, just like you are, about this. I mean, obsessed with this. And that's the scripting. And that's the role playing. And that's the practicing. And, Blake's, feeling on this is that those that are the most articulate, most skilled, and most scripted are going to thrive. How important do you feel that is right now? And the focus on the sales conversion side of things, the conversation side of things, because this ain't 3 years ago to where you can just say, yeah, well, cool, I'll meet you over there. We'll take care of it. Well, you slap it on the market. We ain't got to do much marketing. We'll get it sold. We'll get you a lot of money. How important right now is it getting back to that skill of how to have a real sales conversation?
Probably the most important, other than doing the work. That here's, what I tell the team. We were all out there hunting with automatic machine guns. Now there's no more bullets and you got to use a bow and arrow. Most people don't know what that even is. They're like, well, what's that? I've never seen it, right? So the most skilled person right now, which is again, like the art of having, think about what I'm saying, right? We do it through a phone, but there is an art and a science to language and communication conversation. So, I totally agree with what Blaine's, saying. For us, we say this every day, that there's only two ways through this. You have to find the most motivated, more than ever. Who are the really motivated buyers and sellers? We talked a little bit, so what does that group of people look like? Marriage, divorce, new family, relocation, death, right? Those would be a highly motivated group. So you can either call 3 to 4 to 5 times more people to get, let's say, those motivated folks, or B, what I find a lot, John, most people on the phone, they get through the initial script, they feel confident, but almost everybody stops where it's just what you just said. That one thing's perfect. Like, you fill out all this information, like, yeah, I just did it, I'm good. And they're like, okay, thanks. Right. So the people that go more, like, we don't go deeper. We don't go deep enough with buyers. We don't go deep enough. And if you're able to sound just, again, conversational and continue the conversation, which is a skill in itself, but also just more questions. We see it on the buyer side constantly. That one cracks me up the most. We're getting people at the top of the funnel on Facebook leads for our listings. And they go, no, I'm just looking. I was just looking. I'm not in the market at all. You know what they all turn into 6 months later? Expensive Zillow and Realtor.com leads. Because no one's just not looking for a reason. Most people, it's like, I'm not walking around car lots just for shits and giggles. Like, if I'm walking around, I'm in the market soon to buy a car. Yeah. And I would give the same line to everybody that came up to me. Hey, I'm just wasting some time, basically. But if I'm already starting the process, I am going to be in the market. And if I met somebody that followed up with me and asked me again the right questions, and I believe they were truly going to help me to hit my goal, now you have my interest and my permission to work with me, right? So the buyer side, if you're buying now with rates at 7.5 to 8, you are buying for a reason. You're not just buying for fun, right? And especially if you have a 3% rate, say right now I'm moving from Pittsburgh to Texas and my rate's 3. I better have a good goddamn reason to move, or I'm not giving you from a 3 to a 7, right? So, and the reason would be a job, family, whatever the case. So that's the buyer. The seller side, same thing. This isn't a like before during COVID. It's always that Zillow thing, like, what's it called? What's my house with the fantasy number? This isn't the time to throw your house up for sale and be like, we're just seeing what we might be able to get. Like, if you're selling now or want to sell, you're highly motivated. And most people, you think of the scripts we're taught, John, they don't go deeper with even like NLP and thinking how people think. And again, for me, I use simple words. For even the most intelligent conversations, it's like, hey, in a perfect world, I said you're totally disinterested now, but I'm curious, like, let's fantasize, say in a perfect world, what would that house even look like? Or what would your time frame look like? Just get them, because when you say these type of words, you want their brain to go into dreamland and fantasy. Like, 'cause they're already having these thoughts and dreams, and they're driving the car, taking a shower. They're doing this. Let them get into that part of the brain that just starts to talk to you. And then, again, with rates, it's the conversations never be around interest rates. You said it perfect, right? The media and the news club us overhead with all this negative stuff. First of all, I know your market's different than my market right now, and all we're getting is national news. Pittsburgh's doing great. Like, we're not being affected. Like,
Right.
right? And if you listen to national news, another funny thing around this time of the year, houses don't sell in the winter. Why? Right?
Last time I checked, people are getting relocated with jobs. They're getting divorced. There's still people, they're not getting out of this game alive. So things are still happening.
That's exactly it. So once you can break through the noise, and that's the first half of our power up, John, and this is important to repeat. That 30-minute call, the first 15 minutes is education. What's happening nationally, because you need to be aware of it, and what's happened locally, you can speak intelligently. That's a daily activity of ours. Next 15 minutes, let's talk about some things that we're hearing as far as objections, because you figure you got the open of the call, which is the easy part. The objections where everybody gets stuck on. So what are objections? Rates are too high. I'm going to wait till spring. I'm going to wait till after the holidays. It's the same stuff we're all going to hear over and over. And once you have a great, come back for it. And what is it? It's just continuing the conversation and finding out their real motivation. But you need to go deeper and continue that to let them, they need to have enough trust to tell you the truth. No one tells you out of the gate. And my favorite, we have time. We have tons of time. Like, I have time. I don't need to sell it now. It can sit for sale by owner for the next 6 months. Just like you said, every single one of them. If you're not the agent that keeps calling, listed, because everyone has we all have a threshold of pain. And at first it's that excitement and pride, like, I'm doing this. And again, it's not that they can't do it on their own. They're just leaving money on the table if they don't use us. Yeah. Plain and simple, right? So when it's showing them, here's it. It just happened, actually, right before me and you got on the phone. I've been following up this for sale by owner every couple of days. She said, I don't need you, commission, and I just said simply, listen, think of me don't look at this as a fee. This is an investment. My CPA, when I write a check, that's one of the best investments I make every year. Not a fee. I'd pay him twice. He's saving me a tremendous amount of time and money to the IRS. I love the guy. And all I said was, I'm not making any promises. Let's work together, because I'm damn confident together we're going to have a more successful outcome for you and your family. And if I'm wrong by chance, rip up the contract and fire me. That's fine. I'm the one with the risk. You don't. Because what's the worst case scenario? What I believe I'm going to do and I know I'm going to do doesn't happen. You're back in the same spot. Or we work together. Yeah, and again, all this goes back to tie this up. Our agents right now, this is a time for us to lead. They need help too. They might not admit it and come across overly confident. People are afraid right now. The news and the media, there's a lot of stuff going on. Worldwide, rates, like it's noise every day that's grabbing and really scary. Like, they're paid to get our attention, right? These ads we see on Facebook and all these social media, these aren't accidental. They're paid to grab our minds, twist our minds, change our mindset. Like, that's why I just try to stay away from a lot of this shit.
I love that. Yeah. If it doesn't move you closer to where you want to be, then you don't need to mess with it. Deej, besides one, you said a lot of really profound, important things, the help list, just arming yourself, doing the things. I love how you just put it, because it's so spot on, right? Hey, Facebook leads are just the expensive Zillow leads you're going to be paying for 6 months from now. And it's so true. It really is. That's exactly what it is. DJ, besides, everybody connecting with you, just modeling what it takes to succeed and really thrive in today's climate. You've been doing it for a long time, but you really went all in, doubled down, brought everybody that wanted to jump on board with you over a year ago, right? And it's like, here we go. This is it. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to focus on these things within our control, everything that you shared today. who else besides connecting with you should people be paying attention to? Who should they be following? Who should they be studying? Who should they be learning from? That's going to help them over the next, really foundationally over the next 6 months. That's going to propel them into, 24 and beyond.
You mean just specific individuals that I'm following every day?
You could say that. I mean, they don't even have to be in the Honey Badger Nation. They could be from afar. They could be the Ed Milets of the world. They could be, who should we be paying attention to really thrive in today's climate?
Yeah. So I'm glad you said it. First and foremost, I mean, this, again, I'm honored and I appreciate you having me on, but I was even looking last night and your expert mentors, like you interviewed some amazing people. And I feel like so many of them have a superpower, right? So like even I get so much value from that. So there's just so much good content that's out there right now within our own group. And I would say like, just the Honey Badgers in general, like we know all the teams and agents that are killing it. I am listening and focus, sharing with the team a lot of that content. B, I'm a big Ed Milet fan. Alex Ramosi has some great stuff. Stuman, like just, as far as people that I know have done the work, like I follow and listen to those that have done it. Right. And I think that if you're doing that and again, that positive kind of start to the day and, even Dion yesterday, he's been pretty profound. He's been sharing a lot of good nuggets, right? Belief. But, I mean, we have a ton of resources within our ecosystem at EXP, and the Honey Badger Nation, the masterminds. I know are huge. Of course, content by a lot of those that are followed on Instagram, Facebook, and then long form like YouTube, right? And then, I mean, we wouldn't be where we're at without so many people pouring into us. Like a lot of what I'm sharing today. This isn't something I came up with or I'm taking credit for. It's a culmination of tons of people pouring into us and us being kind of always open-minded and willing to learn, be vulnerable and keep growing together. Right. So, and lastly, we're an open book. Like we help everybody we possibly can. I'm a big believer in when you put out with the intention of not receiving anything back, I think it comes back tenfold.
Yeah.
And that's something I feel very grateful for with, again, a lot of the folks we know and you and everybody else, like everybody's giving and they care, which is, I think, a rare thing in life, which is why, again, like culturally, we're so strong too. So.
Yeah. Well said, brother. I appreciate you. I just really believe you're doing everything right. You and Derb, leading yourselves, leading others, thinking the right way, really pouring into, and I get to see things behind the scenes that nobody else does. And I think I know it's the accolades and the recognition, but I know that's not why y'all do what you do. It's coming. And it's just a matter of time because y'all are doing so much of the right stuff. And so for all y'all Honey Badgers listening in, pay attention. I mean, connect with Deej, connect with Matt Durbin. I cannot stress it enough. And this is me, coach, behind the scenes, looking under the hood. And I'm telling y'all, pay attention to these guys because they're doing everything right. And can't thank you guys enough.
Thank you as well. I really appreciate that.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate y'all.
All
See
right.
you later.
Have a good one.